This story began from Salem, a city in Massachusetts. October 27th, year 2023. A town steeped in history. It's known for its witch trials, but this is about a different kind of haunting. Detective Ben Carter shivered. It wasn't the autumn chill, it was the case, the house on Mercy Lane. It was old, like most in Salem City. This one held a darkness tied to a crime Ben had to solve. The house belonged to Edward Blake, found dead on September 1st, 2023. No forced entry, no witnesses. The only suspect, Sarah, Edward's estranged wife. They'd been fighting a messy divorce. Sarah inherited everything, open and shut, most would say, but something felt wrong.
Ben interviewed the neighbors. They whispered tales, strange noises at night. A cold presence in the house, footsteps when no one was home. One word kept coming up: ghost. Ben didn't believe in ghosts, but the fear in their eyes, that was real.
Ben spent days at the house. He felt it. A coldness that clung to him. He heard the floorboards creak, saw shadows flicker at the edge of his vision. He started to understand the neighbor's fear. One night he heard it. A whisper, faint but clear. She didn't do it. The voice seemed to come from the attic. He found an old reel-to-reel recorder, covered in dust. He cleaned it, his hands shaking with anticipation. He hit play. A man's voice filled the room. Edward's voice. He was talking about his will, about changing it, about protecting his money from Sarah.
Section 4. The Weight of Truth. The recording was damning. Edward suspected Sarah. He believed she was after his money. He'd changed his will, leaving everything to his brother. He hid the new will, somewhere in the house. The recording ended abruptly. Silence. Then a thump, a struggle, a gasp. Silence again.
Ben's heart pounded. Edward wasn't murdered by Sarah. He was murdered to prevent him from changing his will. But by who? The brother? A lawyer? Someone else entirely?
Section 5. A detective's intuition. Ben reviewed the case files. He needed a fresh perspective.
He went back to Sarah, asked her about Edward's family, his friends, his enemies. She mentioned a business partner, Thomas. They'd had a falling out, a bad one.
Ben looked into Thomas, found a record, an arrest, forgery, embezzlement. He'd been siphoning money from Edward's accounts. Edward found out, threatened to expose him. Thomas panicked. He silenced Edward. The perfect crime. Almost.
Section 6. The Ghost Unmasked. Ben brought Thomas in, confronted him with the evidence, the recording, the financial records.
Thomas confessed. He'd gone to the house that night, argued with Edward. A struggle ensued. Edward fell, hit his head, dead.
The ghost was just Edward's last attempt to tell his story, to clear Sarah's name, to bring his killer to justice. The house on Mercy Lane was quiet now, the shadows gone, the case closed.
But Ben would never forget the whisper, the voice from beyond the grave that led him to the truth.